I'm using the shaving horse to create the tenon pins for the timber frame, and I'm using ash and hopefully somewhat straight grained, and what I've done is bandsaw out roughly 3/4 inch, a little bit fat of 3/4 inch square, and then I ran it through the thickness planer to 3/4 inch. That's the diameter of the holes for the tenon pins. I'm using drawbore tenons, so there's an offset hole in the tenon about 1/8 of an inch, and the tenon's pin needs to be just very close to 3/4, a little bit over, but not much. And the first thing I do then on the shaving horse is create octagon shapes. Those will be the final shape of the tenon pin, octagons. I'll just use the draw knife for that. And so I flatten the corner about what I think is the right amount, and then just do another. This is dry ash. It would have been nice if I'd had some somewhat wet material, but I don't have it. I tried live oak, which was wet, but live oak is, the grain is just all over the place and it's hard to use. Now I can see the grain may be the wrong direction. Well, it's working pretty good. So that makes a pretty nice octagon shape. I might as well just do the rest of this whole strip. This will make, I think, 4 pins. I make them about 8 inches long, which is a couple inches longer than they need to be. There, I know there's a little run out down here at the bottom that I'll probably cut off. So the timber frame is, I don't know, I estimate somewhere around 60 pins. And I probably have, I don't even have half of them done yet. Sometimes I have to get out the spoke shave if the grain doesn't cooperate, but I think I'm getting away with this. Now, the important thing about these pins is that they need to be tapered. I can't leave it this same diameter at the bottom. It needs to be tapered because of that offset hole. I need a smaller diameter on the end of the pin so that as you drive the pin in, it will enter that offset hole. Now, I start about right there to do the tapering, but I may have to get that spoke shave here or cut this off at the end. I may get away with it. Let's see if I can keep going here. I just do each of the octagon faces. I usually do about three times on each. Now, that's going to be probably good enough, small enough diameter to drive into that offset hole. Let me just take a little bit more off. I'm going to grab the spoke shave here on this rough spot. And I probably ought to taper back a little bit further than that. That's a little short. Let me give it a little bit longer tapering. Yeah, that looks better. Yeah. Okay, so I've got a good tapered pin there, and I can cut that off at 8 inches, but before I cut this off, it's easier if I just taper the other end while I have a longer length here. Okay, so I've got it both ends tapered, and I'll just go ahead and I just hand saw about 8 inches, and then I'll saw one end off and bring it back with that much length and taper the end to that, and then cut this in half, and that'll give me the 3 pins.